Hey, everybody, welcome to Pink Shade. This is a bonus episode, you guys. I'm very excited because I have a fun guest today. You guys know I like to just interview people that I like, things that I'm interested in that aren't necessarily related to my day job, which is reality TV. So, you guys all know Chip Leighton from his hilarious Instagram TikTok called The Leighton Show. He gathers ridiculous things that teenagers say that they text to their parents. Like in my house, it's always, bruh, bruh, everything's bruh.
Yeah.
And he screen grabs it and posts them. And he does really funny ones with his wife as well. These are just the things that my friends send back and forth to each other all day long, or I send to my husband who doesn't even have Instagram. This account is like the one that we always send. It's so funny, whether you have teenagers or not, or you around any middle schoolers in your life. It's just so funny. So, Chip, I'm so happy to meet you because I think we live parallel lives.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's great to be here. I appreciate the kind words, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Um, I bet you hear that a lot though. Like I told you before we started, I was like, I think you're pretty hip with the 50 plus, ladies.
Yeah, yeah, I do get a lot of comments around, "Oh, we share this with our text group or whatever," that kind of thing. It is like very shareable, even within families or whatever. But yeah, people kind of know me. Like people out there probably don't know my name, but like they'll be like, "Oh, that's that guy with the text messages or whatever," and people sort of recognize my face, kind of thing.
Yes, and when I told people I was talking to you, they're like, "I don't know who that is." I go, "It's the Leighton Show," and they're like, "I don't know." I go, "The funny text from teens," and like, "Oh, I love that guy."
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, and it is Leighton, right? Not Leighton.
yeah. No, you got it right.
I'm just making sure I'm saying it right. Um, I did find out recently. So I have a friend, Deanna, who has a podcast called "How to Be Less Old," and she and her podcast partner they dissect the words and the phrases that the teens use and what they mean.
Mm.
And she brought me to a phrase recently, which is called pebbling, which is what the penguins do. They bring each other little pebbles, and that shows their love.
Oh.
In our in this day and age, pebbling means when you constantly send people like Instagrams or memes that you think that they will like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard that's a good phrase. I got to keep that in mind. Yeah, the challenge if you send your kids like funny TikToks or Instagrams is like they won't want to open them because they're worried it's going to mess up their algorithm and they're going to start getting like served old people videos. So it's usually doesn't go that well, but
I did not know that. That's why my kids don't open my TikToks.
right, right. Yeah, the typical response is like either they'll respond before it would have taken them the time to actually watch the video, and they're they're pretending they saw it, or they'll just delete it immediately, or ignore it. But it doesn't hurt to keep trying, I guess.
That is so funny. I didn't realize that's why they didn't open it. I just thought they were just, like, so busy, you know?
Could be that too.
Yeah, too cool. If I don't open theirs, it'll be like, "Bro, you didn't open my thing. Did you watch it?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I have a thing. I do the series on like things I've apologized to my teenagers for. One of them's like, I didn't respond to a text within 15 seconds, but which is ironic because usually it takes about 15 business days for me to get a reply. But whatever.
Absolutely. You posted something recently that your daughter pointed out that no one had replied in your family group text except for you replying to yourself. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. This was like I think it was last summer, but it was like it was like the beginning of August, and she pointed out like the entire month of July, like the only messages in our family group chat were mine, and nobody had responded to any of them except there was one exception where she put the thumbs down on a message I sent because it was about like what time we had to leave in the morning. So,
Right. Mhm.
I hear from a lot of other people. They're like, yeah, there's usually another group chat that the dad's not in that people are actually communicating in. I don't know if that's true in my house, but
We have, so my son is away at college and my daughter went to college and was a little bit of a failure to launch. So she came back and now she's working and she's doing great. But so we have a group text. Since my son's at college, he doesn't need to be in the family group text about who took the dogs out and all
yeah.
that. So we just have one now and it's I named it, Mom, Dad, Anna. And she renamed it Slumlords and Tenant.
Exactly. Classic. Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
let's call you're living in our house for free, but you have a job. What are we talking about here? What are
Right.
we talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. She wouldn't let us every time we would rename it like something normal so that we could find it easily, you know? But no, they have to name it. Her
Yeah.
name on her phone for her dad is the one who pays.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot about, like, group chats being renamed. The other thing is, like, kids will just take themselves out of the family group chat, like, repeatedly. It's like, you just gotta keep adding them back in, so I don't know. That's not the perfect, communication mechanism, I guess.
We have, an Apple Calendar, and so I have all the labels,
Mm,
right? This one's for the daughter, this one's for the son, this one's family, this one's for the dogs, and then I have one just for the podcast that I share with my producer, so I all these little calendars color coded perfectly, and my daughter said the other day, I'm not on the family calendar." I said, You are. I invited you in 2019. You are on it." She goes, "Huh, never looked at it." I said, "So all this time when we tell you, like, when our flights are or when we're going," and she goes, "No, I don't know." Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, that
Oh,
invitation's still pending probably.
it's still pending. She goes, "Can you send it again? Because I think I lost it." So let me find out about you. So
Mm.
where do you live? You appear to live in a very beautiful area.
I do. We live in, the Portland, Maine area, which is, yeah, great. We've been here for I'm from, Pennsylvania near Philadelphia originally, but,
Okay.
I've been in Maine for over 15 years this time around, so
It looks beautiful. I'm always like,
mm.
"He's near an ocean, he's in a forest. It looks nice."
Yeah, no, it is beautiful. I mean, not quite as beautiful in February, but, this ti this time of year, it's good to get a lot of footage. There's leaves on the trees, but, yeah, no, I love living in Maine. It's like we're, near the beach and there's, forests and lakes, and, yeah, I'm very lucky to live where I do.
It's nice. Well, can you tell me about your kids? How many without, revealing their information they'll get mad about. Just tell me about your kids and their ages and all that.
Yeah, sure. So, been married for 25 years now. We have 2 kids. My son's 20 and my daughter's 16. So, one in college, one in high school. Both great kids. Yeah, both have great sense of humor, which you, you probably see coming through in some of the text messages that I've shared in the past. But yeah, yeah, they're both great and they keep us busy and it's fun.
Okay, well, that's why I feel like we're living parallel lives because mine are 21 and 19 and
Yeah,
the age of like I said, supposed to be empty nest, but one came back.
yeah, yeah.
So your son is in college?
Yes.
Okay, and will you say where he goes or give me a region? I don't think anybody's gonna
Yeah,
track him
he's
down.
down in yeah, he's in Virginia, so a little ways away from us, but yeah.
Okay, well, I live in Virginia.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I have to say, and I can cut this out if you don't want me to say it, but I did notice some of your pictures looked like William and Mary.
Yeah, yeah, he's at William& and Mary. I think I could say that. Yep, yeah. Some of the yeah, there's some recognizable landmarks that I use in the background sometimes. So, yep.
That's funny. A friend of mine, whose son went to William and Mary, no, sorry, her husband went to William and Mary. He played football there. And she sent me a thing. She said, "I think this guy's kids go to William and Mary because he's showing all these pictures." I go, "He could have just taken pictures on a college tour." And she
Right,
goes,
right.
"No, I
Yep.
think they go there."
Yeah, yeah, there was one day his, freshman year when he texted me, he's like, "They found out about your TikTok down here." I did, like, a really big college post that had a lot of, images from William& and Mary. He's like, "Yes, a couple of random girls, came up to me and asked if you were my dad." So, I don't know if that's a
Well,
good or bad thing, but,
I think it's good. I think it's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That is so funny. You're like, "Yeah, who's not so cool now? Look at me.
Right, right,
Look
right.
at me." So when did you start this account? Like, give me, like, the whole reason, the
Mm.
impetus, how it started, because it's such a funny idea.
Yeah, I mean, it started, my daughter and I started using TikTok like during the pandemic, like late
Mm,
2020, early 21. And I always thought like that was a really cool platform because, somebody with no following can reach, thousands or even millions of people based on just if their content's engaging or not. So it's like,
yeah.
there's never been anything like that in the history of the world, I don't think. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could, I'm kind of funny. Maybe I could create something that would, be seen by like 5,000 people or something. And so I started posting stuff, and that's the early stuff I did was like terrible. I mean, I like for 6 months I didn't post anything that was like any good. I was actually thinking about deleting my account. I had like
But was
17
it the sa was
followers.
it the what was it the same kinda
It was
content or no?
no, it was different. I tried to think of a good example, but it was more. I was going for more for like quirky, funny, and like weird instead of like relatable. So it was very different. It wasn't like text messages or marriage stuff or whatever. It was just like I do different trends or it's
Yeah.
kind of tough to describe. But anyway, it wasn't going well. Then like I was thinking about deleting the account, and then I posted something about marriage. It was like, basically like scenes from marriage, just like funny little images, like the empty gas tank in the car, just Amazon packages on the doorstep or whatever. And
Yeah, yeah, all
I,
that, yeah.
I yeah, I posted at night. We were on vacation in like this rental house and posted at night and I kind of forgot about it. And then I was out like kayaking the next morning. My daughter like texted me. She's like, "Your post is going viral. Oh my God. It's got like 50,000 views and, so many comments." And I was like, I had like a fishing rod out of the boat. I'm like trying to get my phone and see what's going on. And there's like, that went to like, 2 million views or something. And then,
Oh my God.
and then a couple weeks later, I did my first text message post, and that went viral. And then like it kept happening, like every couple weeks or so. I would, and so I started to grow, from 17 people to like, gained a couple hundred followers with that first one, and then maybe 1,000 with the next, and it just kind of gradually, gained a following. I think it was that fall I started the series on things I've apologized to my wife for, and that was like a
Yes.
really, really big one. I gained a lot of followers from that. So yeah, I mean, it was all, I didn't like have a a plan to do this from the beginning, but I always thought like after those first couple, when that when people were connecting with it, that there was something here that could go somewhere.
Yeah, totally. Things I've apologized to my wife for is I was just out of town and just got back, and I told my husband when I got back, I said, "I had a dream about you, that you were with this girl, and then you told me just to get
Right.
over it, that it was fine,
Right.
and
Right.
what was wrong with me because I was the stupid one?" He goes, "Okay," and I go, "So I was really mad." He just looked at me like, "Well,
Right.
I didn't do
It
that in
wasn't
real
reality,
life."
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
That
apologizes a lot for dreams that I have.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's one I did. Was I was mean to her in her dream, and I hear from a lot of people like, "Oh, I cheated on her in her dream," or whatever. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like, trying to think of another example. Like, I ruined our couch by sitting on it. That kind of thing.
You gotta flip the
If you always,
cushions. You
yeah,
gotta
if you
flip
always
the
sit in the same
cushions.
spot, it's going to indent the cushion. So, now if I want to watch TV, I just like to stand. So
You just have
it's
to
that kind
hover
of
in the
stuff.
air.
Right, right, yeah,
You also posted that you had to apologize for not, um, announcing that you were going to bed. So you said you
yeah.
were working on a Von Trapp family number to,
Yeah,
you know
exactly. You gotta in my house anyway, I've heard this from other people too. You gotta announce when you're headed upstairs for the night. So yeah, that's whole so long, farewell. I'm doing, yeah, one man version of that. It's gonna help a lot, I think.
I'd like to see that on
Right.
your
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And so when you started out and you were just doing TikTok, but then were you always like whatever you did on TikTok, you would just put it on Reels for or Instagram,
Well,
or did Instagram not have Reels at that time?
Uh, I think in the very beginning they didn't have reels actually, and it was yeah, it was like completely a TikTok account for I don't know some period of time, 6 months or maybe it was a year or whatever, and I grew a big following. And then TikTok took a while, and then Instagram took a while to take off actually. But once like I think that apologies to my wife series started, and I got a bunch of like random like press coverage around that, like there was an article written about me in a in like a British tabloid, and then like it got picked up by all these different places in the US, and I was people were saying they were hearing me on the radio and stuff like that. And so that really grew the Instagram account, and it was just this year, so over 3 years, that the Instagram account now has more followers than TikTok, and it's
Yeah.
definitely got most of my engagement there. And it's a more flexible platform in terms of doing different things on it. So, and I have a Facebook account that's got close to 200,000 followers on it too.
But you know, what's interesting about that, I think for me, for the elder, for the, Gen X, that because I'm already on Instagram and the reels are there, it just makes it so much easier. Because
Mm,
also I find if I go over to TikTok, I mean, I'll just be like 2 hours later, like, just sitting
right.
there, like a real teenager. I just can't
Yeah.
because I'm learning things, people are dancing, there's dogs,
Yeah.
there's Amazon hacks, and that's probably what my kids don't want in their algorithm. They don't want the Amazon
Exactly. Yeah.
hacks or the
Right.
cute dog videos, which is what I like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was funny because I mean, when I started on TikTok, it wasn't like totally mainstream yet. So like I was working like in the corporate world, and like I truly didn't think anyone I knew in real life would ever see these things. It was just
Yeah.
something I was trying. But then I started to go viral, and like people at work were like, "You showed up in my feed the other day on TikTok. Like, what's going on with you?" You're I was like, it's like, is that and some people like just heard about it who didn't use like a lot of people just didn't use TikTok then. They're like,
Yeah,
is that
right.
that kids dancing app you're on now? Like, what's going on? Right. But then it's like, but I knew, just because you can see like as an active user, I could see that's where media, usage was headed, and that there was a magic to it. And so I'm like, I know these same people are going to be on TikTok in a year, or as it turns out, many of them just Instagram Reels, which is very, very similar.
So tell me about your corporate job, and are you still at this
Mm.
corporate job?
Yeah, so I've worked for like 25 years in the corporate world, in marketing and corporate strategy, and I did leave that job last year. So I was kind of getting to the point where I was like somewhat close to retirement, not quite there, and then this thing was sort of taken off, and um, yeah, I just decided to I wanted to step back from the corporate thing, and it wasn't like to do this full time exactly, but I knew there were some things I wanted to do related to this that I wouldn't have been able to do while working there. One of them was write a book. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
But and I worked for a supermarket company, so like some
Mm,
of the like sponsored brand sponsorship, partnerships that I might have wanted to explore, I couldn't really do because potential conflict of interest or whatever.
right.
So
Okay.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I actually took the leap and left a little over a year ago, and it's been amazing. I mean, I'm really lucky to be able to do this kind of fun stuff and generate some income from it, and yeah, it's been great.
That's well, I mean, this is why I said I think we're living parallel lives because
Mm,
I'm in my 24th year of marriage. Our kids are the same age.
mm,
My husband too has been in his exact same corporate job for 26 years for a big energy company.
yeah,
Um, the difference is that he doesn't have any social media at all, not a bit.
mm,
He did get an Instagram account because he said he was annoyed because we kept sending him things
right, yeah,
and he would, like, try to open it, and then he couldn't. So, when I found out he had an Instagram account, this is one of those things that he had to apologize for because we were all mad that he had an Instagram account and didn't tell us. But I mean, he doesn't have a photo. He has, like
yeah,
he
yeah,
follows 0 people. He has he just got it so he can watch when we send him, like, stuff from you,
yeah. Well,
you
that's
know?
good. That's good.
And yeah, and he
That-
got mad at us about we got mad at him, he got mad at us. We're like then I got mad because I was like, "Who's this girl that's following you?" He goes, "I don't know. I don't know how to
right,
open
right,
it."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah. I do hear that from a fair number of, like, wives who are like, "Oh, I send all your stuff to my husband," or whatever, because like, most of my followers are women, but, like, there's a lot of sharing within the family or whatever that happens, yeah.
I I will sit in bed and pull up my Instagram, and I'll pull up yours and just sit there and just make my husband watch it. I go, "Look at this. Look at this. It's so funny. Look at this. Look at this."
It's good, I
Now
endorse that.
yeah, I did, I was like, "This is so funny. Now this is the one about apologizing to your wife. Watch this." Now tell me what your kids think. So when you
Mm.
started this, they were sounds like your daughter was maybe 12 or 13, and now she's
Uh
16.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, in general, they don't find me, quite as funny as the average stranger does, right? They're not that impressed with me, but
Yeah, yeah.
for a while, because it did start with a lot of my daughter's text messages. She claimed she was like responsible for 80% of my content or
Oh,
whatever,
okay, she
but
should get a
it's,
cut. Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, she there's different. Terms she uses to refer to me, like the unemployed middle-aged TikToker, that kind of thing. So
Mhm.
they help keep me in my place, and but yeah, I mean, they both, like I said, they both have a good sense of humor, and the way that the account has developed, has kind of evolved. Is I don't actually share much of their stuff anymore because it's turned into this kind of like go-to place where people share their
Yeah.
funny text messages, and people are always messaging me stuff, and it's amazing. And so I mostly am sharing other people's stuff, but that is some feedback I get from my kids because they're like, everybody thinks it's still all us, and like they like there was one from somebody sent me around, like, I don't know, it was like, delete that marching band post, was like the text from a kid, and like my daughter was like, so my friend the other day was like, "I didn't even know you did marching band," and she's like, "That's not me," or whatever. So there is a certain percentage of people that think it's still like all my kids, and there's some comments that are like, "Man, I'm worried about your kids," or whatever. But
You're like, "God,
so I
they
get a
text
little
a lot."
feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
text a
exactly.
lot. How do you
Right.
get your kids to text you so much?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I've sent you a few. It's just with my son being at college or before I mean, before he was at college, it was a lot of really not so bright, kinda
Yeah.
dumb things, but now he's in college, it'll be I sent you one the other day, which was, um, I wrote him, "Good morning," and then 4 hours later, he about, "Bro, it's afternoon."
Oh, right. I remember that actually.
But see, when I sent it to you, it was morning.
Right. Yeah.
But 4
Yeah.
hours later, "Bro, it was afternoon." You know?
Right. Yeah.
He does a lot of "Bro, bro." Last night, he sent me something. I'd just been in New York for a work trip. I'm so tired. My feet are killing me, like, killing me. I think I need, like, a podiatrist killing me. And I'm sitting on my couch literally with my feet up, but I'm working because 'cause I'm always working at night because 'cause I'm watching shows. So I'm
Mm,
working, and he says that he's on a trip to Nashville with some new college friends. So he wrote me and said, "Oh, we got to Nashville. Okay, we're going to Top Golf. Great." And then he wrote back, "Bro, can you do this for me?" So I was like, "Okay." So I clicked it, and it's a form that he needs to collect 10 people's names, addresses, and phone numbers for a fundraiser that his fraternity is doing. And
Mm.
so I go, "Oh, okay. So you don't feel like filling this out." So first of all, he doesn't know 10 people's phone numbers or addresses, or maybe even 10
Right.
people that would donate money to him. But so it's like, sure. So I quit what I was doing and I pulled up the thing to do it for him because I'm just like an enabler. I do whatever he says. And I pull it up, and then no lie, 45 minutes later, he writes back and goes, "Bro, is it done? Because it's due."
Right, yeah.
Well, obviously you've had it more than just this
Oh,
today,
yeah, probably weeks.
weeks.
Right, right.
There was one, and I screenshot so many of these funny things that you have just so I could remember. And the one that was the medieval costume.
Oh,
"Mom,
yeah.
I need a rich medieval townsperson's outfit for the school play tomorrow."
Right, yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's, what's a covered bridge? I mean, I just can't.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, they fall into, like, 2 categories generally. It's either kinda like the dumb questions, right,
Mhm.
or the instructions on how not to embarrass you, you know? So, like, the dumb questions, a lot of them, like you mentioned, filling this thing out, like, a lot of them have to do with when kids have to fill out forms for the first time, right? So, there's
Yeah.
a ton of boys who ask one of their parents, like, "Hey, I'm filling out this form. What's my maiden name?" It's like, we
It's t it is so
Right,
funny.
yeah.
I saw another one that said, "What do I have a surname?"
Right,
Um,
right, yeah.
um,
The
my son, the first time I sent him to the doctor by himself because he is over 18, I just could not go
Yeah,
with him. He had a sinus infection or
yeah.
something. I go, "It's down the street. You're 18. That you can do it. You've been there since you were literally born. You can do it." And the whole time he's just sending me questions, sending me
Oh,
questions.
yeah, yeah.
"How long have I had the sinus infection?" I'm like,
Right,
"I don't
right, yeah,
know. I
yeah,
don't know."
yeah. One of my favorites is the girl girl who's at the doctor's office. She's filling out her name and address, and where it asks for her street name, she put her nickname down, which is it's like, I don't think that's what they wanted, you know? But, yeah, it's
Street
crazy.
name.
Yeah,
Like your
yeah.
street cred.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
like
yeah.
it's Josephine, but I go by JoJo.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh god, that's so
yeah.
funny. So, you guys know what time it is? In my house, the time is always, "Hey, what's for dinner? Hey, are we ordering dinner? Hey, are you making dinner? Mom, what are we doing for dinner?" You guys, this is the dreaded question that comes up every day in my house, usually around 4 p.m. And inevitably, we will order takeout. It's easier, but it's never satisfying. It's never what we want. We always fight about what we want. And then it arrives, something is wrong. And then you feel kind of gross because, like, why did we order takeout 2 nights in a row? And we spend way too much money. So, if you'd rather enjoy a home cooked meal without the stress of planning ahead, Home Chef makes it easy to save you money. You guys know I love my Home Chef. I get so excited when the box arrives. I get 2 to 3 meals a week, usually 3 meals a week that will feed us. And it's going to be something that I'm going to make myself. They give you the pre portioned ingredients and then I make it myself, and then I can make it to what I like, right? If somebody in the house likes a little more jalapenos, I'll put a little more on their section. Or if, like me, I like no mushrooms, you can make it how you want it. The ingredients are there and it's up to you. And it's so easy with the cleanup because you haven't gotten out a bunch of extra stuff, or you didn't have to go to the store to buy like 4 ingredients that you're only going to use once. It's economical. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 a month on groceries. You guys, they even have delicious kid-friendly family menu with 18 new options each week. I have used those before because I do have some picky eaters in my family, even though none of them are technically kids, but it's picky eater approved and it'll take the stress out of dinner time. So, you guys, I'm highly recommending Home Chef to you guys. And for a limited time, Home Chef is offering my listeners 18 free meals plus free dessert for life. And of course, free shipping on your first box. You're going to go to homechef.com/pinkshade. That's homechef.com/pinkshade for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. You heard that right. Homechef.com/pinkshade. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. A new school year is starting soon, and personally, I cannot believe that my kids are grown up and I don't have anybody to drop off at the first day of school anymore. It's so sad for me. But if you're a parent and you want to make this new school year an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills and continue building independence, I'm recommending Greenlight. I've told you guys that I used Greenlight for my kids when they were in elementary and middle school. It was a complete game changer. Greenlight is a debit card and a money app for families where the kids can learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, and the parents can keep an eye on their kids' new money habits. You got to keep an eye on it, guys. You don't know what they might do. You can also help kids get into their fall routine more easily than ever with the chores feature that lets you assign chores and automate the allowance. This is rewarding kids for getting things done around the house. This was the biggest thing for us. And also, they had different chores in my house on the weekend during the week because during the week, I wanted them to focus on their homework. So if you want even more out of Greenlight, you can upgrade to their Infinity plan. Their Greenlight Infinity plan includes the same access to financial literacy education that makes Greenlight a valuable resource for millions of parents and kids, plus built-in safety to give you peace of mind. The Greenlight Infinity, the teens can check in without actually needing to check in, thanks to sharing the family location. They can also call for help if they need it with an SOS alert that connects them to family members, 911, or both. And there's even a feature that detects car crashes and will connect your young drivers to a 911 dispatch and alert emergency contacts if that is needed. Wow, that's a cool feature, guys. So no matter what features make the most sense for your house, Greenlight is an easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and for families to navigate life together. So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/pinkshade. That's greenlight.com/pinkshade to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/pinkshade. All right. So can you remember the first like text from a teen, the first one that you did?
Well, I mean, it was all my daughters, and it was basically like, all like demands for food, like, whatever, quesadilla, get on it or whatever, just kind of like mock rude kind of things, which, and there was a bit of like, feedback in the comment section. It's like, oh, your kid's so rude or whatever, but it's like you have to know the relationship, right? And it's all just like we're just kidding back and forth in that kind of way. And like
Yes,
my
yes,
daughter's like the
yes.
most polite person in the world, like out in real life. And so some people at first didn't get that. And honestly, that's probably partially why something like that goes viral, because there's like some debate in the comment section. But
Yeah, right, right, right.
but yeah, but it was a lot of like, yeah, I do spend a lot of time cooking for for her. So a lot of like food related things, or like, just kind of like demands or whatever. Like one of them was like, she was like, her swim practice got out like 5 minutes early, and I was like a minute late or whatever. And she's like, I'm literally standing outside, literally arrive. It's like just kind of like that kind of stuff, bossing you around in kind of a quirky way. But yeah, and then and so I did those for a while. Then, like I said, it's mostly kind of stuff that other people share with me.
It's, when I used to drive my, son to middle school and my daughter too, but not, quite as much, but my son, I would drive to middle school. You wait in the line, you wait in the line, you wait
Mhm.
in the line, and then you get up to the front, he'll go, "Let me out." I'm like, "Well
Right.
but I've now been sitting in the car for 10 minutes at 7 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm not letting you out. I'm getting up to the door. Like, this is what we're
Yeah.
working towards. I'm trying to get to the door, and then right before the door, he's gonna jump out, which, by the way, then we'll get an email about, "Parents,
Mhm.
don't let your kids jump out the parking lot," then we'll get a mean email about it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Or when I would bring the dog to pick up, he'd say, "Bro, it's so embarrassing.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah,
embarrassing."
yeah,
I'm like, "The
yeah,
dog wanted to go for a ride in the car. The dog didn't do anything to you."
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the pickup process is like rife with errors. It's like, 'cause, like, I've gotten so many texts that are like, park a block away, or don't roll down your window when you pick me up, or make sure the music's off when I get in the car. That kind
Don't
of,
yeah, don't look at me.
right. Don't wave to anybody.
Um, Leanne Morgan, the comedian, has a
Mm,
very funny bit that she does about her kids are now all grown,
mm,
married and kids and everything, but she has this bit that she did about her daughters would come out of the middle school, the high school, and they're waving to their friends and hey, and they're hugging and high fiving and got you girl and all this.
yeah,
And then they would get in the car and be like, do we have any cheese? And just start yelling at her in the car. She's like,
right.
I saw you being nice to everybody. Now, why did you get in the car and start yelling at me about what
Yeah.
snacks I have for you in the car when we have a 5-minute ride to the house?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very funny because I was like, that's what my kids would do. I could see they're like happy and they get in the car and like,
Yeah.
ugh, school was the worst. I was like, looked pretty fun to me.
Right.
Looked like
Right.
you
Yeah.
were, yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, so we have your categories. I want to talk about the categories. You touched on that. So we have texts from your teens,
Yeah.
and then we have things you've apologized to your teenagers
Mm.
for. Now, one of them, tell me if this was a real one or if somebody sent this to you, that you jumped at a car horn, but it was Sweetie's
Oh
"Beep,
yeah.
beep, it's my bestie and a Tessie."
Yeah, no, that was real, that was me. That was weird. I was asking my daughter to a swim meet and, like, I got startled by the sound of a car horn, but it was, yeah, it turns out it was just that Sweetie song that's like, "Beep beep, is that my bestie to
Yeah.
Tessie." So, yeah, I did hear from a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, that sounds really realistic," but my daughter explained it in, like, school terms. She's like, "I should have been able to figure that out from the context clues," which is something they teach in school now. It's like
Yes.
because of the lyrics or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm very easily startled, so that kind of stuff happens.
We my That's interesting because my kids say context clues to me all the time.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Use your context
Yeah.
clues." I'm like,
Right, right. It basically means you're an idiot if you can't connect the dots, which I usually can't. But
but I'm like, I could say the same back to you. Use your context clues to understand how to load the dishwasher.
yeah, oh yeah,
Dishes, they
exactly.
go in there because 'cause they're in the
Yeah,
sink and they should
right.
go, it's called a dishwasher. Um, my son is doing his own laundry at
Mm,
college, which listen, my kids are, deficient in many household chores, but they do know how to do their own laundry.
mm,
And my husband was, like, very adamant about teaching them how to do laundry because he said when he was, like, 12, he had 4 kids and the mom was like, "Everybody do your own laundry." So
mm.
he said he can remember, like, the pile of the ping pong table, like, filled up with clothes, and he'd go and just pull his pieces out, not fold anybody else's.
Right, right.
So he's like, "We gotta teach him how to do laundry," and I was like, "That's great for me." So he does know how to do laundry, but yet he's had a lot of questions about laundry at college because I think the
Mm.
machine looks different.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
The buttons are different.
yeah.
And also there's a swipe card situation where you have to,
Mm.
and
Okay,
that's
yeah.
been befuddling.
Yeah, that's one of the top, like, I've done, like, text from college freshmen, like, series, and, like, laundry is definitely one of the top areas. There's crazy questions, like, one of the first ones I did was, "Hey, how do I get my clothes out of the washing machine? Do I just, like, reach in there with my hands?" Yeah, there's a lot of kids that show up they're doing it for the first time, so, yeah.
I saw one that the question was, if I put my clothes in the wash at 9 a.m., will they
Oh,
be dry by 3 p.m.?
right, right,
I
yeah.
guess they think that one machine does both.
Well, yeah, yeah, and that it takes, like, 8 hours or whatever, but,
Yes.
yeah, their terminology is weird too. They'll call everything is like a sauce. They're like, "Where do I put the sauces in, in the
Oh, the
laundry
sauce.
machine?" Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
sauce.
yeah,
So we have texts from your teens, we have things
yeah.
that you've apologized to your teens for, and then you have romantic texts from your wife and then
Mm.
apology texts with your wife.
Mm. Yeah, 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 that romantic text for my wife, I just did that very recently, but it's just a mix of, like, either, like, really mundane stuff, like, "Send me the code," or like, "Where are you?"
20
Or,
times a day is send me the code.
right,
Send me the
right.
code. Did you get a
Yeah,
code? Send me the code. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or just, like, quirky things from our house, like, "You dropped some turkey on the floor," or, or, "I bought that stupid peppermint ice cream you like," that kinda stuff. Just, I mean, for the romance of marriage, so.
One that I noticed in that series was, notice how quiet my sneeze was.
Yeah, yeah,
Are
that's
you a yell sneezer like my husband? Do you yell when you sneeze?
yeah, it's not intentional, but
That's what he
yeah, it's
says,
the
but I think it is.
no, it's the combination of the volume and the number of consecutive sneezes, like, yeah, no, it's my daughter will, like, start counting out loud when I start sneezing. It's not good. I don't know what it is, something genetic with, men typically.
My husband sneezes and he yells at the same time, but there's no reason for that. There's absolutely, you can sneeze without screaming at the same time. There's a whole, and I've told my listeners this before. If you haven't seen it, right when we're done, you have to look it up. It's, Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig on Saturday Night Live, and they're doing like a NyQuil commercial.
Uh-huh.
So she's walking around in her robe, like holding the NyQuil, saying, in my family, when we get sick, the only thing that helps us is, so she's doing this commercial. And then behind her, Will Ferrell comes in with his hair all crazy. He's in a robe and his face is all runny and he's screaming in the background. And then she's trying to like go into other rooms to continue with the commercial, like talking about the NyQuil or whatever. And then he just keeps appearing in the background,
Yeah.
sneezing, screaming, sneezing. So I was like,
Yeah.
this is when I realized maybe it's not just in my house. Maybe they did a whole Saturday Night Live skit about it. So
Yeah.
it's got to be a man thing.
That's good. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of these apologies, like to my wife, I think the part of the reason it works is it's like it's kind of absurd from any angle. So it's because a lot of them are like involuntary reflexes. It's like
Oh yeah.
sneezing, breathing, chewing. It's like basic bodily functions. You have to do it, but it also drives your spouse crazy. So it's like there's a little bit of that series that's like, okay, who's the joke on really here? Is it like the wife being ridiculous, or is it the husband being super annoying? And it's some of both, I guess.
My husband could write a same series about me because everybody in my family complains that when I'm in the car and I scream when we're about to hit another car,
Oh,
that I shouldn't do that. That I
yeah.
was like, and I say the same thing. I cannot help my reaction when I'm in danger that I screamed out in
Yeah.
fear, and they'll say, well, we weren't going to hit the car, but so why'd you scream? Because that makes it worse. I'm like, I can't help it. I
Yeah.
was afraid we were coming up to a car at 60
Yeah.
miles an hour. I was
Yeah.
afraid.
I'm sure your kids loved, learning how to drive with you in the car probably.
I tried my hardest not to do it very often,
Yeah, same here.
um, because it's a lot of like hands on the dashboard,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God. Okay, let's talk about this. I want to know about your book.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What time is noon? First of all,
Yes.
was that from one of your children? What time is noon?
No, no, but it's a text or a quote I've gotten from probably 10 people that their kids are like, "Hey, when you say noon, is that 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock?" It's like, "All right, here we go." So,
Oh,
yeah, so that's another, common, teenager question, disturbingly common, but yeah, the book is, it comes out in November. It's available for pre-order right now, and it's, full of hundreds of, funny teenager text messages. It's got, like, stories from my family and a bunch of other features, like a bunch of, like, quizzes and, little charts and graphs and, things
all right, and
like
tell me
it's
what
yeah.
tell me about the quizzes because I love a quiz and a survey
Oh.
more than anybody.
Yeah, good. It's kind of a combination of like, how messy is your kid on a scale of 1 to 10 with a bunch of questions to kind of rank them or
Okay, that's funny.
yeah, and then also just like, testing your knowledge about teenagers, like how they'll react in a certain, when they're pumping gas and ask for their zip code, what will they do or whatever, that kind of stuff. So it's good. It's just like a fun, light kind of read. It's a great gift, for people for the
Yeah,
holidays or whatever.
totally.
So yeah,
I think it's a
yeah.
great gift because of many years. I say a few. I mean, a few years could be 1 or 12, I don't know, but a few years back, maybe 10, I gave my husband for Christmas that Jim Gaffigan book, Dad is
Oh,
Fat.
oh yeah, great book. Yeah.
Great book because it's the same idea, right? His kid drew they have, like, 7 kids or something, and the kid drew the
Yeah.
family and had to be like, "This one's a ballerina, this one likes to read," and had to write a description, and then it got to dad is fat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
really? So
Yeah.
it's the
Kids are
same
harsh.
idea, and
Yeah.
and I gave my husband that book for Christmas because it's hard to buy for guys because usually they
Mm,
just buy what they want when they want
mm,
it.
yeah.
So if you need to buy them, like, oh, they would really like these certain socks or this tie or even like a watch or this cool new cup to drink, and they just buy it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, gifts are hard. I'm always struggling to come up with the right gift. And I've had a bunch of people since I announced the book. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting this for all my, I'm buying 6 copies for gifts this year for my family or friends or whatever." And it's like,
I'm gonna do it
just,
too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it came out. I think it's pretty funny, but so we'll see. Yeah.
I think that your family review of your books, like you were talking about, is
Oh yeah.
hilarious. Your daughter calling you an unemployed middle-aged TikToker.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I've got it's sort of a mock review on the back cover. It's like, if you're looking for a book written by an unemployed middle-aged TikToker, you found it. So,
Oh, I have okay, now, do you have any advice for parents that get these texts? And I screenshot a bunch of some of my favorite ones. "When dad wakes up, can you tell him a tree fell on our house?"
right, right. Yeah, yeah,
We have, "What do I put for my make of car?" Metal,
right. Yeah, yeah.
metal.
It's
And then, the ones of, "Please stop posting these pictures. It's weird."
Oh,
Um,
pictures of mushrooms, I think that one
the
was.
pictures of mushrooms, and this was
Right,
you didn't have to scream, I knew we were going off the road,
right, yeah.
and then
That
one
could have
of
been to you, yeah.
that was because I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that hit home." But another one you posted recently that I did not put in my screenshots was, "I hit a pheasant, the bird, not the person."
Yeah, yeah, I mean, there was some confusion there. I mean, if they hit a peasant, that'd be wrong for a lot of reasons, but yeah.
It would be wrong for a lot of reasons, especially because we don't use that term anymore,
No, no.
would be the first one, and then let's see, my husband, until this year, in the year of our Lord 2024, up to this year, my husband has had an Android.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So this one, don't tell anyone you have an Android, I'll never live it down.
yeah,
Um, and then, of course, is work 40 hours a week or a month. Oh
yeah,
god, don't we wish it was a month?
yeah, everybody does, yeah. The one very similar to that I just posted, I think it was yesterday, it was, our serving sizes per hour. We all wish that too, yeah.
You get 1 serving per hour.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, so do you have any advice for parents who get these
Mm.
texts and literally the answer is not, why are you stupid?" Like, "Why
I
have I taught you nothing? Are you stupid?" You know, what's a better response what's a better response for parents than, "Are you stupid?" Because sometimes I say that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think like a lot of people would call them, stupid questions, dumb questions. I don't think they're dumb. I think it's just like, hey, if you haven't, been taught something, then you don't know it, right? So like, there's a whole
Right.
thing around stamps. Kids don't know, like, hey, does the post office sell stamps or whatever? Well,
Yeah,
all right, you
right.
might have been able to put two and two together, but whatever. You got to, until you learn
Context
stuff,
clues,
you don't.
Chip, context clues.
Yeah, that would
Right.
be that would be a
Yeah,
good response. But
yeah.
so I don't think they're really stupid. But I mean, I guess my two piece of advice. One is just you have to laugh, right? Because you gotta all this stuff is like none of this stuff is serious or important, and so just
Right.
my whole account is about just having fun, smiling, and laughing at the stuff we all have in common. But the other thing is, I don't, especially as you think about your kids growing older and going to college, like I don't think you should beat yourself up because maybe they don't know how to do laundry or send a letter or other kind of stuff. Because that kind of practical stuff, they're going to figure out on their own. They're going to YouTube that or Google that. Like they'll like. I'm not sure my son ever did laundry before he left for college, and he does it on his own, no problems. I've never seen a question from him about it or whatever. So it's like I wouldn't worry. I mean, it's great if you want to teach your kids that stuff. That's awesome. But
I don't
I
think
would
anybody taught
focus.
me how to do laundry or load a dishwasher.
Yeah, right. They're gonna
Yeah.
figure all that stuff out. I would focus more on the important stuff, like teaching them to be a good person, and things that they can't get from YouTube or whatever. And I think I mean, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I think kids pay a lot more attention to what you do than what you say. And so I kind of think if you focus yourself on being a good person, then they're probably going to be good people too. And that's the kind of thing I would spend more time thinking about than how to do laundry. So,
That's a great point because, like, if you ever saw your kid being rude at a restaurant, then you should look inward because maybe you were rude
hmm,
at a restaurant, you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Support for today's episode comes from Honeylove. Honeylove has revolutionized the wireless bra game. Their bras feature supportive bonding that eliminates the need for uncomfortable wires and unnecessary bulk. You deserve a bra that's lightweight and comfortable without sacrificing support. Embrace freedom, flexibility, and comfort with Honeylove's wire-free bras. Plus, they're made with a fabric that's so soft you will forget you're wearing it. For a limited time only, you can get Honeylove on sale. Get 20% off your entire order with our exclusive link, honeylove.com/pink shade. Support our show and check them out at honeylove.com/pink shade. For a limited time, you'll get Honeylove on sale, 20% off your order. Honestly, guys, I am so sick of the bras that cause that bulging in the back. You put it on, it looks great from the front, and you turn it around and you've got like spurts of back fat. It's just not cute. But Honeylove's bras are designed with a back smoothing fabric that prevents that bra bulge in the back. And did you know Honeylove has more than just bras? They have incredibly comfortable shapewear, tanks, and leggings for everyday support. Honeylove has you covered for the everyday look, workouts, weddings, and more. Honeys, you need this in your life. No more sacrificing. You've earned it. Honeylove is not just supporting women, it's empowering women. Treat yourself to the best bras on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/pink shade. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off honeylove.com/pinkshade, and you can find your perfect fit. After you purchase, they say, "Hey, where did you hear about us? Please support this show and tell them we sent you." Elevate your comfort, elevate your style with bras that empower your lifestyle of flexibility. Do you have any advice to parents whose kids are going into this stage where they
Mm.
really did love you, want to hold your hand, and then suddenly now you're the most embarrassing thing on the earth?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, as you know, from any age, like, no phase lasts forever, right? With kids, right? There's always, whether it's good or bad, it's not going to last, and so you just kind of roll with it. And I think in the teen years, kids just there's a larger percent of the time that they're not super happy, with you or whatever. But it's not all the time, and I don't know. It all just, as in retrospect, it goes so fast that I don't, I don't know. I just try to roll with it and enjoy it and not get too stressed. But I'm pretty low key, mellow person, so I get not everybody is like that. So.
But I think, yeah, and I think also there's so many different dynamics. It could be like a mother daughter that is rife with its own.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
can be fine, and then all of a sudden it's not. And
Right.
you don't know what you did to become such a monster, you know?
Right, right. Well, it's like, I mean, it's almost universal. Like, my wife will, like, whatever, something will happen between her and our daughter, and she'll be like complaining to me about it. I'm like, have you seen my content? Like, this is like so typical. Like, everybody does this. Like, go watch the Leighton show. It's like, it's not unusual.
You're like, "I have an Instagram account for you."
Right, right, right.
And then, then you have the dynamics of like mothers and sons where we just sort of think the sons are so perfect and so cute and so great.
Mm.
And then they turn on you too. I mean, my
Yeah.
son, even though he is 6'1" and 19 years old, if nobody's around, he might come and like get in my lap, of which I'm like
Mm.
5'4". It's not that great. But of course, I'm just so happy that he's giving me any attention. I'm like a crazy person. And then you have, fathers and sons, and at least in our house, it's a lot of like bonding over sports. And
Mm.
if I come in the room, they like stop what they're talking about. I'm like, "What were y'all talking about?"
Right,
They're
right.
like, "You don't need to know. It's a guy thing."
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And fathers and daughters too. And so all these relationships are so where dads will be way more protective over the daughters, and with the sons will be like, "Ah, that's cool." There's just so many dynamics there in families. Or there's a phenomenon I call boy mom, which is if you're a girly girl and you have all sons.
Mm.
This is a
Yeah.
stereotype of a woman who demands to be treated like a princess at all turns.
Right,
And her
right. Yeah.
reasoning
Y
is, "I live in a
Yeah.
house full of boys."
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, plus you will probably also pick up on things from reality TV, right? It's the dynamics that you see playing out in real life
Oh
around you or
gosh.
whatever. But yeah.
Well, that's why I wanna ask you too. Now, what do you watch on TV? And do you and your wife watch anything together?
Yeah, sometimes I was thinking of like reality TV. I'm not really in your core probably listener demographic, like in terms of this.
Disagree, disagree. I think you
Okay.
are in my core
Well,
demographic. Yeah.
yeah, I guess behavioral demographic or whatever. I don't watch a lot of the probably core reality shows you preview. We more in terms of reality, like it's more kind of like we'll watch Survivor usually, and
Yeah,
like
good.
we'll be
Yeah.
in and out of Bachelor or Bachelorette depending on the season or whatever. And
Golden Bachelor, that those are our people.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but, I mean, I watch a fair bit of sports and just, like, local news and kinda stuff. Like, my wife and I will watch stuff together, but it's like, like, we're never, like, sometimes it's just not available at the same time, and you can't, like,
Yeah.
get ahead of her, or she
No.
can't get ahead of you. There's a whole
Right.
thing if someone's traveling, so we usually end up watching sometimes them separately or whatever. I'm trying to think what's the last thing we watched. We watched the House of the Dragon, like, together recently, which just ended,
Oh,
so,
yeah,
that
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
that kinda
Your Game
stuff
of
was
Thrones
fun.
people. Your
Yeah,
Game of
yeah,
Thrones, yeah, yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah, so
We want my husband and I never watch it because usually I'm having to watch something for work, but sometimes I will see something and I'll be like, "I know you're gonna like it," and then he doesn't believe that he will like it. I'm like, "This
right,
is what I
right.
do for my
Well,
job, I promise." So I
right.
made him watch The Bear.
Oh, yeah, I just watched that actually with my daughter, actually, yeah.
See, I made him watch The Bear, and then he sees now that I do know what I wouldn't steer him. I'm not gonna steer him into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That's not gonna be his jam
Yeah.
because he too would only like to watch
Yeah,
college football 24/7.
yeah. One of the, one of the quotes in that, romantic text from my wife was,
Mm.
I forget if she was talking about a TV show or a book, but she was like, Yeah, it's really boring. You'd probably like it. I was like, I'm not sure how to take that. I do watch some boring stuff. I did once watch a 2.5 hour documentary about salt. So, it's probably a fair
Ooh,
fair comment.
okay. Well, that's a bridge too far. Our best
So,
friends live down the street, and he loves any kind of war and history podcast or
mm,
documentary.
mm,
So I'll tell every so often I'll come across something that to me is interesting because it's got maybe a little bit of scandal, but it has a little history because I really just famously hate anything involving history, even though I do have a minor in history. I just don't give me a romantic novel set in World War II. Not
yeah,
interested. I
yeah,
don't want to hear about the Nazis. I don't want to read about, I don't care. I care, but I don't care to read it in my adventure novel or whatever. People
yeah,
always sending me these books. "You'd love this book." I go, "Nope, I see it's set in 1912. Not gonna read it." But
right.
he's always wanting to watch these things, and his wife is like, "Yeah, sometimes it's about, like, Churchill or something. It's interesting." I go, No, we can't be friends anymore. We can't be friends anymore. You lost
Yeah,
me. You lost
yeah,
me."
yeah. That's funny.
He also loves Bruce Springsteen, like a crazy person,
Mm,
and I'm like, "Well, I guess I feel that way about, like, the Grateful Dead or Billie Eilish, so we could talk about that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not Bruce in particular, but yeah.
Right, yeah, yeah, I think my wife and I have pretty different tastes in music, but, whatever, you don't have to be interested in the same things or whatever. One
No,
time
it's
she said to me,
better.
yeah, 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 right, right. I forget what we were talking about, but it was like, something, but she was like, "Well, we don't have the same interests, so, whatever." Sometimes that makes things work out really well, I don't know.
My husband will tell people what I do. He's a lobbyist here in DC, and like I said, has been
Mm,
with the same company for 26 years or
yeah.
yeah. And so, we're very different in that way. Like I said, he's never had and he did tell me the other day, I've got like 60 friends on LinkedIn." "Is that a thing? Do you have friends on LinkedIn?" He goes,
Uh,
"Yeah, people
yeah.
follow me there."
Right,
Wow.
right.
Um, but now I completely forgot what I was saying about having different interests. Oh, he tries to explain to people my job. He'll say, "Oh, my wife is a podcaster." Then when people usually say, "Oh, that's like cute or fun," or "Do you make any
Right,
money?" or "Is that a real job?" And
yeah.
I imagine you get that as well. Like, "Oh, is that a real job?" Like, actually, yeah, it's a real job. It's a real
Yeah, yeah,
job.
yeah.
And when I go to these things with him, all the people are these like DC types. So they look at me like I have OnlyFans, basically. They're like,
Right,
"Oh,
right,
she
yeah,
must
yeah.
be like a stripper." I mean, just like
Right, right,
just
yeah, yeah.
it's not the same thing. It's not the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, there's a variety of podcasts out there, right.
When you go around in there in Portland, Maine, if you go to the grocery store or anything, do people that don't know you in your real life, do people come up to you and they recognize you or they wanna tell you their life stories?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like I said, people. Most of the time, people don't come up. I can tell when someone like recognizes me, and most of the time just won't like say anything. But you can tell when someone's like looking at you for a few seconds or whatever. But it's great when they do it. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's fun. It happens a lot when I travel. Actually, I found, and it's always it's always interesting if like I have some part of the family there with me or whatever. Or just like
Yeah,
someone
you're
will come
like,
up to
"Look,
me.
I'm legit."
Right, like, so I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so funny," like, they'll say to, like, my wife, like, "Oh, it must be so funny around the house," and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, we're rolling around the aisles here, it's really great." He's not that
Yeah.
interesting around the
I
house, but
love to send him a text and then see it appear on his millions of followers on TikTok. That's
right,
great. That's
right,
great.
right, yeah.
Yeah, when you said when the romantic test, "Send me the code," I was dying because I was like because some of our accounts are tied to my husband's phone number,
Yeah, yeah.
and it drives me nuts. Or if I call and I'll say, "Hey, I need to find out the status of this, like, medical claim," whatever, and they'll go, "Yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to your spouse." I'm like, "Believe me, he doesn't know. I
Right,
know it's
right.
in his name, but he has no idea what I'm calling you about.
Yeah,
He doesn't
exactly.
know this account even exists." He's not. Um, all right, so everybody I think everybody that's listening will already know, but tell everybody where they can find you and how to pre-order your book and all that.
Sure. Yeah. So it's the Leighton Show, Leighton. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. And I also have a website, thelaytonshow.com. And
Mm,
any of those places have links to the book. It's called What Time is Noon. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble
Amazon, okay, yeah,
everywhere. So
mhm.
should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, you can order it today, and it ships in. Well, when we're recording this, less than 2 months, but even less by the time you're probably airing it. So yeah, no, yeah, I enjoyed talking to you, and yeah, I hope people will check me out if they haven't seen me already.
And has the pre-order sales been going good, you think?
Yeah, yeah, actually, I heard from the publisher the other day, it's gone great so far, so and I've heard it from a ton of people who were like, "Yeah, pre-ordered, got a bunch of for gifts and
For
stuff,"
gifts,
so it's
yeah.
been yeah, it's been a great, and I get any day now, I actually get the physical copy myself, so I'm excited to see that.
Oh, so you don't even have it yet.
No, no, I have, like, kind of like a mock-up or whatever, but, like, the real ones, I'll get a sample pretty soon, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I'm
Yeah,
really, really excited for you. I think that your
thank you.
success is well deserved, but I think you really kinda hit on something that people hadn't hit on that's just so relatable and so funny. Whenever I see it pop up, I have to stop and read it, and then I gotta share it with everybody.
Oh, good, thank you, yeah.
It's pebbling. You've learned something new.
I know, I gotta put that in my next teen language glossary.
Okay, well, don't hang up, but thank you very much, and everybody, if
Awesome.
you are, watching because you know Chip and you don't know me, I'm Mary Payne. I have a podcast, Pink Shade Pod, mostly cover reality TV, but you can follow me on Instagram at Pink Shade Pod. Please get my numbers as high as Chip's. Just kidding. It'll never happen. Okay, bye. Ads not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.